Welcome to this eLearn security video lesson on obtaining stored credentials with SessionGopher. In this video, we are going to briefly demonstrate a tool that we can use to obtain credentials to be used for lateral movement using a tool known as SessionGopher. SessionGopher is a PowerShell script that we can execute on a target system to help us gather credentials that are stored locally by applications such as WinSCP, PuTTY, RDP, and others. This can be very useful for gaining credentials to other machines, which we can then use to move laterally within a target network. SessionGopher can be downloaded from the following URL. Before we start, we'll want to download the SessionGopher.ps1 script to our attacker system. For demonstration purposes, we'll open up an SSH connection to our attacker system using PuTTY. We'll use the wget program to download the SessionGopher.ps1 script to our attacker system. The reason we're downloading it to our attacker machine is that we're going to use a PowerShell download cradle to download and execute the script on the target system. Doing it this way reduces our footprint and will execute the entire process within the memory of the PowerShell process. This can help us evade detection mechanisms. Aside from executing it locally on a target system, SessionGopher also allows running it on remote systems provided you have valid credentials. For this demonstration, we'll be using the former method and running it locally just so we can get an idea of how we utilize this tool. Once we have the SessionGopher.ps1 script downloaded to our attacker system, we can use a Python simple HTTP server web server that we can then use to serve it to our target. Let's start up our Python simple HTTP server on port 80 on our attacker system. Now that that's done, we can minimize this window. Next, from our target system, we'll execute a PowerShell download cradle from a standard Windows command prompt, as this is the likely scenario once you've gotten access to a system and have a shell. We'll launch our Windows command prompt and execute the PowerShell download cradle. For our download cradle, we're calling the PowerShell.exe executable and the -nop no profile, -execution policy bypass, -command parameters, and utilizing the net.webClientDownload string method to execute our remote SessionGopher.ps1 script. At the end of the command line, we're appending the invoke-sessionsgopher function, which is a function within the SessionGopher.ps1 script. We can see once we execute our command, SessionGopher is run, and has also already dumped some credentials we could potentially use on another system within our target environment. In addition to simply invoking the invoke-SessionGopher function, we could also provide the -thorough parameter to the end of our script as follows. Using the -thorough parameter does take a bit longer, and we won't show that here, but we encourage you to experiment with SessionGopher and its various options. It's a great starting point to use for obtaining credentials we can use to move laterally. And this concludes our video lesson on obtaining stored credentials with SessionGopher. Thank you for joining us.